Good day, first world travellers, and welcome back to Mexico City. Are you going travelling for the first time? Have you read all the blogs? Have you watched all the crappy YouTube videos? And have you spoken to your best friend, Katie, who's just spent the last 3 months travelling Southeast Asia? If you have, but you're still looking for another point of view, stay tuned for this video because I'm going to talk about my top 10 first-time traveller destinations. Okay, so if you're new to this channel, welcome, hello. As part of my routine of weekly videos, I do one like this every week called Digital Nomad Diaries, where I talk about basically anything to do with first-time travel, long-term travel, solo travel, digital nomad life, that kind of thing, and hopefully this kind of video helps viewers in terms of going travelling in the first place and things like that. And you know what, I really wish I'd done this video a long time ago because I've been to a lot of places over the years and I remember what it was like for me before I'd been anywhere in the world. I was very anxious, naive, had no idea about anything about the world. So hopefully these 10 destinations I'm going to tell you in this video and talk about in a bit more detail will hopefully help you in deciding where to go. And just a quick point, this is very much my opinion. I understand that everyone's opinion and experience will differ, so don't just go on what I'm saying. And the thing I'm going to do in this video to also help you out is basically score each country out of 60 using 6 different points, which are, I'll put them next to my head to be helpful: hostels, food, language, getting around, things to do, and working in that country. So hopefully this will also give you a bit of an idea in terms of what sort of country it is in terms of those aspects. And you know what, if you're not a first-time traveller, maybe you've done that obligatory trip to Southeast Asia and Australia and you want to go somewhere else that isn't full of drunken backpackers, you can check out my video on second-time traveller destinations also, which I'll put down in the description below. So country number 1, yep, you guessed it, it's Thailand. Let's talk about Thailand. Okay, this was actually the first place I ever went when I was 19, which wasn't that long ago. It really was. And I went to Bangkok, I went to Koh Samui, I went to Koh Phangan for the full moon party, you know, obligatory things to do. And I'd say that in a negative way, but actually it's a good thing. So one great thing about Thailand is the social aspect. So if you are younger and you want to do a bit of partying, apologies for the use of the word partying, and you know, stay in hostels and really socialise with people, meet people, you know, Thailand is a great place to go. The weather is of course fantastic. The food, okay, it's a bit like Marmite. You love or hate it. I hate it, mainly because it gives me explosive diarrhea. This might not be the case for you. Working, also, you know, if you are someone that is thinking about working abroad, Thailand is obviously a great place to go. You know, you must have heard about Chiang Mai. It's the digital nomad capital of the world. Co-working spaces, everything, great Wi-Fi, you know, also great for networking. You know, places to go in Thailand, you know, places that I've already mentioned, but other places that I recommend are Ao Nang, Krabi, Khao Lak. Where was I just last week? Phuket, yes, well done me. And that's all in the south of Thailand. I've never been to the north of Thailand. I'm talking about Chiang Mai, Pai, etc. That's another great place to go, especially if you want to spend some time with elephants. You know, you've seen all the pictures of people with the elephants. Overall, I will give Thailand 45 out of 60. The areas that let itself down are the food. You know, pretty much it's disastrous. The other thing is getting around as well. You know, a lot of people I see will plan trips to Thailand and say, oh yeah, I'm going to go to Bangkok this day, Koh Samui the next day, Chiang Mai the next day. Forget about it, it's not possible. The transport in Thailand can be horrific. Generally, I would say add maybe 6 hours onto your plan because the reality of traveling in Thailand is a lot different from your expectation. At least it was in my case. Moving on to Australia. Yep, the typical place that a young person will go backpacking. And you know what? I've given this country 50 out of 60. The only area that it really falls down on are hostels. And you might want to slap me around the face when saying that because you might think if you've been there that hostels are absolutely brilliant. And yes, in terms of the social aspect and going out and organised nights out in clubs and that sort of stuff, yeah, it's brilliant, absolutely wicked. Probably some of the best in the world, I would say. Particularly if you are that age and maybe you're going away for a year, travelling up the east coast of Australia, which I've done. I went from Sydney up to Cairns. I've also been to places like Adelaide, Melbourne, on another trip. But you know what? The hostels compared to everywhere else in the world, even, you know, the depths of Southeast Asia, they're awful. You know, a lot of places you have to pay for Wi-Fi. What? You know, it's just insane. They have actual computers with broadband and, you know, it's just awful. But other than that, things to do in Australia are absolutely flipping awesome. Places like Fraser Island, Airlie Beach, I would absolutely recommend. Byron Bay, if you are looking to go travelling to get wasted all the time, okay, meet people. Byron Bay is a place to go. Brisbane as well is awesome. And Adelaide, actually, you know, Adelaide often gets overlooked, in my opinion, because, yeah, a lot of people will say it's boring, and I think it does take a certain type of person to go there. But I enjoyed Adelaide. You know, it was very, I guess, a bit more eclectic in a way. Yes, it was slightly more boring. Yes, there was less thing to do, but if you're looking for somewhere a bit quieter to go, I would absolutely recommend Adelaide. Sydney, don't get me started. One of the best cities in the world. I absolutely love Sydney. It's one city I would absolutely move to. I've got friends there. It's easy to get around. Awesome. So, and another great thing about Australia is, of course, if you are planning to travel for longer, which many people do. Some people stay in Australia for like 2 years. In order to do this, you need to get a working holiday visa, work in your first year, which basically means you have to do 88 days of farm work, picking strawberries, herding cows. I've got lots of friends of mine that have done that. I haven't done that. But once you've done that, you can then apply for your second year visa. This doesn't guarantee that you're going to get your second year visa. I have met someone in Malaysia a few months ago who got refused and had to go back home, so it might not always work. Moving on to country number 3, yes, it's Malaysia. This is the one that might be slightly controversial. I've been to Malaysia 4 times, and if you're travelling in Southeast Asia, more than likely you're going to go through Kuala Lumpur at some point, because it's very much a hub for travel in the area. You know, Kuala Lumpur is, okay, it's okay if you stay in a certain area. If you're going to stay in somewhere like Chinatown near Petaling Market, where I stayed twice, it's not the best area. You know, there's thieves, robbers, you'll get pickpocketed on a bus, which happened to me. You know, a lot of people talk about Malaysia and Kuala Lumpur especially, that it's this amazing city. I hate it, okay? Controversial, yeah, a lot of people love it, you know, but I don't. It smells, there's cockroaches, there's rats. I'm talking about Chinatown. It's just diabolical. The food, okay, I hate the food in Malaysia, with the exception of things like cheap rice, cheese naan, which I did a video about, which was totally awesome. But in general, I just find the food very bland, tasteless. Maybe I didn't go to the right places, I don't know, but all in all, I just don't like Malaysia. So overall, I've given it 40 out of 60. Other places you can go, Malacca, Penang, Langkawi. I love Langkawi, it is absolutely awesome. I was there over Christmas and New Year a couple of years ago. Great beach life, inexpensive, absolutely brilliant. Plus, in addition, the visa for a UK citizen and for most citizens is 90 days. So you can stay there for a long time. Another place to go is Cameron Highlands. Up in the mountains, a lot of hiking. It's awesome. And there's also some great places to stay in Cameron Highlands. So yeah, Malaysia, I would recommend going just for the experience, but I wouldn't say it particularly blew me away every time I went. Okay, place number 4. Do you recognise that flag? Yes, it's New Zealand. I'm not being funny, but I absolutely love New Zealand, which is why I've given it 59 out of 60. Absolutely awesome country. Way back in 2005, when you were probably in nappies, I spent 3 months in New Zealand. Basically, me and two of my friends, we bought a van in Auckland and travelled around for 3 months. It was absolutely brilliant. One great thing about New Zealand is things like the scenery, the landscapes, absolutely stupendous. You know, places like the Tongariro crossing, you do a 17-kilometre hike. It's immense. There's emerald lakes, all sorts of stuff like that. Brilliant. You know, food very similar to Australia. You know, lots of pies, Moro bars, which are awesome, and you know, hostels as well are a good standard. You know, they're not brilliant, but you know, I would say they're better than Australia. The thing about New Zealand, I would say I not rented a van, I bought a van. You can rent one and you can do Kiwi experience as well, but if you want to experience it a bit more yourself and, you know, do it yourself basically, buying a van is great, but a couple of watch outs with this. So, reliability and honesty, I guess, are the things. So, you got to think that a lot of these vans are very old. You know, the one I bought was from 1987, which is 5 years younger than me. Brilliant. And the one I test drove before this one that I actually bought, it had no brakes. I almost went into the back of a BMW in the middle of Auckland. It wasn't good. And I've also heard about other people that have been basically conned, friends of mine that have spent thousands of dollars on a van only for it to break down and be a pile of crap. So Obviously there's an element of risk involved, but you just have to use your noggin. You know, ideally get someone that's got experience with cars and driving, because they'll know what to look for. If you're not that experienced with that kind of thing, I would recommend finding someone that is. You know, all in all, in terms of the van I got, it wasn't a disaster. Yes, it broke down a few times. Yes, we had to push start it, and yes, we lost the oil cap. But in the end, we sold it to a builder from England for $400 after 3 months. Completely lost a load of our money, but you know, that's all part of the fun. New Zealand, you're awesome. I can't wait to go back there. Country number 5 is this one. Fun with flags. This is Singapore. You know, I've been here 4 times, largely because I'm a Formula 1 fan and I went to see the Formula 1 there twice, but the other 2 times were very much kind of transits in a way. Not layovers, because I was there for a bit longer, but in reality a lot of your time in Singapore might be a bit like that. It's not particularly a destination that is spectacular in terms of being there for a long time. It is just a big city basically. There is a lot to do. Hostels are wonderful. You can, okay, there can be some dodgy ones, a bit like in Kuala Lumpur, but I stayed at one called Bohemian Chic. There were it's like a capsule hotel basically. Yeah, Singapore is expensive, but you know, it's worth it because there's so much to do. Yeah, Singapore, that's pretty much all I can say about it. Yeah, that's Singapore. I can't really think of much more to say about it, which probably sums up Singapore in a way. It is a bit bland and sterile, I guess, but I would still recommend going there, even if it is just for a stop off. My next country on the list is a country that I absolutely fell in love with. It's Cambodia, and you know what? Cambodia is part of a typical route around Southeast Asia, but that doesn't mean it's bad. It means it's good, because you do have so many things to do. You've heard of Angkor Wat, right? The massive temple complex in Cambodia near Siem Reap, and yes, it's a bit of a tourist trap, of course it is, but it's one of those tourist traps that you kind of have to go to. I wouldn't say not to go to Angkor Wat, because you're kind of missing out massively. You know, even if you go in the morning, I'm talking like 5-6 a.m, it is packed. I was literally blown away by the amount of people that were there at 6 o'clock in the morning. It was horrific, but it's still worth going to. If you want to go to places a bit further out and a bit less destroyed by tourism, there are other temples like Koka, Beng Malia, a lot more isolated, I guess, which give you a bit more of an insight into the history of Cambodia. Absolutely brilliant. Another place you can go to in the south, in Phnom Penh, you can learn a lot more about the Khmer Rouge regime and the history of Cambodia. It's absolutely horrific, and you know, it destroys you on the day that you go to the S21 place and the killing fields, etc. It's a real eye-opener. Other aspects, hostels. I absolutely loved hostels in Cambodia. They were so absolutely brilliant, as well as being inexpensive. You know, it was something like £3, British pounds per night, and for that price you often expect an absolute crap place to stay. But I was pleasantly surprised. The staff at the hostel were absolutely brilliant. They would help you out with organising tours and everything like that. Getting around is so easy as well, much easier than Thailand, I would say. Things are on time a lot more in Cambodia. So overall, I've given Cambodia a good mark because I really did like it. The only thing that really let it down, I think, was again the food, because I'm slightly fussy, ridiculously fussy with food, but obviously you're probably not, so you're not going to have that problem. Okay, on to the next one. For our next country, we're just heading over the border into Vietnam. I love Vietnam's flag. It's so simple, you know, red with the star. Amazing. So Vietnam, in my eyes, is quite similar to Cambodia in terms of how I've scored it, because you know, it is close by. It's very similar in many ways in terms of food and language and getting around, that kind of thing. The thing about Vietnam that I did enjoy was the history aspect. You may know from my previous videos that I do like a lot of history, things like that. So the big thing for me was learning all about the Vietnam War, or what the Vietnamese call it, the American War. You know, there's a War Remnants Museum in Ho Chi Minh or Saigon, whatever you want to call it. You can go to the Cu Chi tunnels, which was stupendous. It was brilliant. You know, you can crawl through the tunnels that were used in the Vietnam War by the Viet Cong soldiers. You know, it's great to learn about the history, and you know, similarly with Cambodia, it's not like a, you know, a wacky tourist destination. You go there to learn about what's happened in the world, and it's really an eye-opener, and it broadens your horizons, I suppose. So Vietnam, absolutely brilliant. One thing to watch out for with Vietnam and Cambodia is about the horror stories that you will hear about crossing the border. You know, many people will say to you, you have to pay a bribe. Shush, motorbike. Yeah, you have to pay a bribe to get across the border and all this crap, and it's really difficult and you'll get scammed and you'll end up spending loads of money. That's absolute crap. I didn't have a problem, okay? Some people might, but I didn't. All I did was simply pay the bus driver guy. He took my passport away, got it stamped, got it back. Yes, it probably cost a little bit more than doing it myself, but, you know, it's not exactly going to break the bank, is it? So don't listen to these horror stories that you hear about Vietnam, Thailand, Cambodia border crossings, because they really are not as horrific as people make out. Oh, my hair is getting progressively messier as I go along in this video. What's this flag? Hang on a minute, this isn't in Southeast Asia. No, it's in Europe. Believe it or not, first-time travellers can go somewhere that isn't Thailand. Shock horror. Yes, this is Italy. Now, I have a funny relationship with Italy. A lot of my English students are from Italy. I teach online, and they're brilliant. They're probably my best students. They're absolutely wicked. But there are some things about Italy which really annoy me. I'll start with the good things. The food, obviously, is the best in the world. I'm not being funny. You know, you say I'm a fussy eater, but I will eat anything in Italy. It's the best food ever. The other awesome thing about Italy are the things to do. So much. You know, I've been to places like Sicily, I've been to Naples, Sorrento, Mount Vesuvius, Herculaneum, Pompeii. Okay, that's a lie, I didn't go to Pompeii. I haven't been to northern Italy, but if you're looking for all those kinds of things in terms of geology, volcanoes, history, that sort of thing, those are the places to go. Sorrento is absolutely, I could literally cry because I want to be back there right now. It's one of the best places I've been in Europe by far. But there's things about Italy which annoy me, as I said. Number one, and I shouldn't really be annoyed about this, is the language. You might think that being in a European country that English might be widely spoken. It really isn't. At least I didn't find that. And yeah, you could say I could make the effort to learn Italian, but who has time for that? And the other thing also is, I guess, the Italian temperament. I'm talking about men. And I know I can be a bit aggressive sometimes and a bit, I was going to say a swear word then, but I really had some bad experiences in Italy with quite aggressive men. Not everyone's like that. As I said, my English students are all men, Italian, and they're not like that. So I'm just saying that sometimes you might have an issue with that. And I guess that's kind of one thing that Italians may be known for. Quite temperamental. Sorry, Italians, don't unsubscribe. Okay, we're on to place number 9. Where are we going next? Is it Monaco? Is it Poland? No, it's Indonesia. They're very similar flags. But anyway, when I talk about Indonesia, I'm talking about Bali in particular in this video. There's a lot more to Indonesia than just Bali and going to Gili Trawangan, even though it is awesome. But I'm specifically going to talk about the Bali area in this video. So one thing I think about Indonesia is it's often overlooked in comparison to places like Thailand, Cambodia and Vietnam. I don't know why. Who knows, but I would really recommend Indonesia as a place for a first-time traveller, particularly Bali, because it's quite similar in a lot of ways to a lot of islands in Thailand. You know, go to places like Kuta, Seminyak, it does have that same kind of feel, very touristy, that kind of thing. You have to go to the Gili Islands. I've been here, how many times? Twice. I've been to Gili Air twice, Gili T twice, Gili Meno, go there as well. I've only been there the once. Absolute tropical paradises. The hostels are absolutely brilliant, totally awesome. In terms of other things, you know, things to do, yes, there is so much to do, snorkeling, diving, that sort of thing. Yeah, it's also very inexpensive. I'm not saying the word cheap because that's rude. Very inexpensive, so it's a great place to go if you are on a budget. And for our final stop on my top 10 first-time traveller destinations, we're heading across the pond, depending on where you are in the world, to the good old US of A. You know what? USA gets some bad press for, you know, obvious reasons. And, you know, even despite that, I would say it's a great place to go as a first-time traveller. Yes, it's expensive, but you have things on your side like language. Obviously, everyone speaks English, so you don't have an issue there with that. Food is stupendous. I'm not being funny, but last year I was storm chasing in Denver, in Dallas, Colorado. The food is absolutely out of this world. It's right up my street. Gorgeous meat, you know, basically junk food. What else can I say about America? Places to go: LA, Las Vegas, Death Valley, San Diego. the list is endless. There's so many places to go in America, and I guess the reason I'm putting America in this list is particularly around language, which I haven't mentioned much in this video, for a good reason, because a lot of these places I'm talking about are ideal for first-time travellers because English is generally widely spoken in most of these countries. Not all of them, but most of them. And obviously with America, everyone speaks English. It may not be proper English, British English, it's American English, which isn't right. So that's a great reason to go to America if you're especially new to travelling and you're slightly apprehensive about the language in particular. What am I, Italian? No, I'm not. Sorry about the Italian thing on this video. I'm going to get some proper hate comments. So that brings to a close my top 10 first-time traveller destinations. If you've been keeping track, which you probably haven't been, you may have noticed that New Zealand is my top, number one, the best first-time traveller destination. And upon thinking about this, I kind of thought about it in more detail. So naturally I would often think Thailand and Australia because they're typical places to go. They're the places I went to first as a first-time traveller. But actually, the thing about first-time travel that I think is naivety, anxiety, apprehension, and independence. Those 4 words. Well done me for remembering them. And I guess what New Zealand did for me is because I had to do everything myself for the first time. Yes, I was with 2 other people, but in terms of, there were no organised tours. We did everything ourselves. We had to solve problems ourselves, etc. And that kind of really set me up for future travel. So I'm really glad I went to New Zealand, and in terms of things to do and everything, it's right up my street. Your interests might be different, but I would overall really recommend New Zealand to go to. If you have found this video useful, don't forget to hit that like button, even hit the dislike button if you want, I don't give a poo, and leave a comment. Why don't you tell me about your first time travel destinations? Where did you go first? Are you go travelling for the first time? Are you apprehensive? Do you want to ask any questions? Not just me questions, but ask other viewers questions, because there's some awesome people subscribed to this channel. Anyway, the last thing you have to do is subscribe and check out my video for second time travel destinations as well. I'm going to have some lunch now because I'm starving. Wonderful. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you later.